Hi there, this is Sahid with the Bloom Show, brought to you by New Bloom Solutions and Above All Flowers. It's been a little bit, we kind of skipped December and now we're starting January out with a bang. Truly honored to have two great guys to the industry, two great collaborators, and just visionaries of the flower industry when it comes to innovation and doing their thing. We have Steve Daum, Director of FloraLife. Super excited to have him. Always been a great supporter of me as well. Just very, very kind gentleman. And Jim Kaplan as well, director of the board for Chrysal. I got it right. I've always said it my way. So director of the board for Chrysal. This show has truly been created to show what collaboration, coming together and building community, and also highlighting innovations in our industry can do. So these two gentlemen have come together to share the important information of nutrition for the flowers, of how to preserve flowers, and just many more topics that we're going to cover today. And they're coming together because there is power in communicating a message together to a community. Because sometimes you might think it's a sales pitch, but when it's coming from two people together and they're kind of saying the same message, then we tend to listen a little bit, right? So again, I hope that this shows a testament to what collaboration and networking could do for our flower industry. So again, I want to thank the two gentlemen for coming on and help me welcome them on. How you doing there, gentlemen?
Hey, Sahid.
Morning.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Good.
Give me a quick second, fixing something here. It feels like I haven't done this in years because it's only been a couple months since I didn't do it. So here we go. Just fix that. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. I know in your busy schedule. Steve, I see your awesome lab in the background. And Jim, I see the beautiful view you have through your window in the background.
Yes.
So thanks for joining.
Room with a view.
Room with a view. So
yes.
To get straight to it, Steve, we'll start with you. You're right next to me here.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about your company and how it started, and a little bit about yourself as well.
Okay. Well, a little bit of history on FloraLife, since you skipped to that question. By the way, we do have a list of questions, but you skipped. No problem.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was a better way to.
No problem. No. So FloraLife actually has been around since the late 30s. It was in 1936. Actually, the first flower food was developed by a group and handled by Mr. James Sikora of Amlings in Chicago. And I'm cheating myself. In 1944, we actually put the first flower food into the marketplace here in the U.S. And to be honest with you, I think I'm going to just go ahead and say, I hope Jim agrees, both companies are really based on sound plant physiology. Basically assuring that the flower moves from the growing stage, from even before that, maybe even in helping breeders, getting the flower from the growing situation all the way through a channel, through the end consumer, and making sure that end consumer has that experience, which is industry-wise known as a 7 to 10 days of good base life and full development. And I think both companies have helped each other and pushed it to basically make sure that happens, and that consumer gets what they expect from that purchase, and that they look for doing it again, not only during a holiday, but maybe during an everyday. As far as my background, I'll be brief. I'm a plant physiologist, and I also hold a degree in international business, trade, and finance, which is kind of like what FloraLife is a global company, and it's just been a great gift to work with flower growers and people who are interested in floriculture all around the world.
Great. And how about yourself, Mr. Jim?
So our company is based in the Netherlands, started in 1929, and I wasn't there when the company was started, so I didn't want to date myself, but that is the date of the company when it started, 93 years ago today. It started out in an area in, let's say, Holland, and then later into some adjoining countries, France, Germany, UK. And it's grown into today, which is having 10 global offices. We sell our products in 40 different countries. And then we have 5 different production sites that are around the equator, around the world, close to market. As far as myself, I started in 1985 with the company. and my start in the flower business was with Sunburst Farms. And I'm going to divert just for a second, Sahid, for how I got to Sunburst Farms. When I graduated college, I went to work for an elevator company.
All right.
And the training for the elevator company was to spend 2 months installing elevators. And so I found myself working in 30-story buildings of naked elevator shafts and hearing stories of hammers and screwdrivers falling from above and hitting people and knocking them out or going into their bodies. So that lasted about 3 weeks, and then I stopped. So that was an up and down start to my career there. Then I went to work for Sunburst Farms. I worked there for 3 years, from 1982 to 85, which is at that point the largest importer in the country of flowers.
Yeah.
And then in 1985, I left the company because I met someone from Holland, from Chrysal. His name is Nick Hoffman, who was a visionary of our company and took our company global from when he started in 1970. And then I came in 1985 and started to work in the Americas, tip to tip, where there was relatively no known Chrysal in the market at all. And here we are today, 36 years later, and still loving the flower industry. And it's a business that's had ups and downs as everybody, but I love the business and I love the people that work for our company, and they've been a great partner in working with them to bring Chrysal USA where it is today, our team in the Americas. So.
Thank you, Jim. So as you guys know, I'm like a flower geek, and I love to ask questions on questions. Yeah. So again, just to our audience, we have a nice audience today. So just to our audience, please feel free to ask questions. That is a part of the show, is to have that opportunity to answer any questions for the community. But one question I'm wondering is, what's the first product both of your companies started with? Was there a flagship product? Because I know now you've developed into many different products. So Steve, if you want to start with that, what's the first product that opened the doors?
Yeah, I'm gonna. The first one was the flower food that was handed to people at the time here in the U.S. in the 30s. Most of the flower business was done locally, so there was greenhouse production. People would buy the flowers at a greenhouse, and the flower vase life at that time was not very impressive. So the flower food, that people would take it, add it to a bucket, and it would increase the ability of the flower to actually travel away from that market where it was grown. So that was the first product that we developed.
And how about yourself, Jim?
Interestingly enough, as I said, the company started in 1929 by a family called the Bendine family, based in Naarden, Holland. Started the first product in 1929 was a plant food. And he sold his plant food throughout the Netherlands, riding a bicycle around to shops and small little nurseries and those kind of things. And then the company grew from 29 to 49. And in 1949, we invented Chrysal, which was the first flower food in Europe. And it was created by a Belgian scientist, biochemist, who invented the product. And the product was named, the name is Chrysal. It was named after her daughter, which was named Chrysal, K-R-I-S. So that's how the name Chrysal was developed, because it was the name of the inventor's daughter. And the same thing, what we found is that they thought they needed to put a product in the hand of the consumer. So the first product that we made was a sachet or flower packet. And of course, since that time, both of our companies have evolved in many different products for growers, for the trade, and many more products for the consumers as well. But it's interesting how both of our companies started with something for the consumer, which is probably as relevant today as it was then. We still think the consumer, if they have success, they're going to be using a treatment at home to create longevity for themselves.
We have a bunch of packets here, and we're consumers, So, and I can't wait to get into the science of it. Let me do a couple shout outs here. Beth O'Reilly, awesome designer and floral influencer. Hey, flower peeps, and as well as Anna Cruz says, "Hi, Jim. It's great to see you."
Oh, nice. Hi, Anna.
Giving you guys a shout out. People will kind of comment here and there. So let's get into the questions now, Steve. Tell us more. So I love what I kind of think is we don't understand really, or the consumer, the outsider looking in, the science it takes to do what you guys do. It's not just the packets that you worked with in the past, and that's all you're working with that same recipe, like kind of like an ingredient for cooking, for a cookie, pass along family cookie. I think that there's so much more science and real degrees involved. Can you please share a little bit of that, Steve?
Yeah.
And I see that you are in your lab behind you. You're not in your lab, but that's a picture of the
Yeah.
lab.
So yeah, without a doubt, I think the science of this is strongly placed in post-harvest physiology, which is really a fancy way of saying we understand the science and of what the flower is going through. So I'll repeat it real briefly. The idea of getting the flower from where it's grown to the end consumer used to be a local thing, and of course now the channels have opened up globally. We are a global company. We actually have labs in growing areas of the world. If you look at the globe, you'll notice that the growing areas are near the equator, taking advantage, of course, of the day lengths and the fact that temperatures are ideal, the eternal spring type thing. And so we have facilities and productions and labs in those areas all around the globe. And we're understanding really what the channels are demanding of the flowers. And that's an important thing to understand because you ask about the science. If you could imagine flowers grown in Colombia, Ecuador, Kenya, Ethiopia, and they're moving globally by boat, by plane, and what is the scientific effect that's happening to that? Dehydration is one that comes to mind because obviously the flower is losing humidity as it continues to respirate. And it's important to recognize that flowers are alive. Unlike fish or meat that's no longer alive, flowers continue to be alive, and that's basically respiration, which means it's breathing. Of course, temperature controls that. So all that science comes into effect, the understanding of that, the understanding of how hormones affect what it does. And so how to incorporate and how to take advantage of what we know to assure the flower, depending on where in the channel it is, we can give some science to it in order for it to rehydrate and to basically continue to move through the channel. Some very difficult channels. One that everybody's aware of is the supermarket distribution center, a place that have millions of tons of biomass and ethylene. So how do you move a very ethylene sensitive, temperature sensitive product through there and then come out the other end and still give that end consumer that 7 to 10 days expected experience is kind of like where the science is on this. So it incorporates a lot of understanding, and it also incorporates a lot of, even the competitiveness between the two companies have generated some of this. And as far as our relationships with universities and then other types of companies that understand the science.
And
So
how about
that gives you
yourself,
an idea.
and how about yourself, Jim? What's your scope of the science as well?
We look at two different areas. I think is because you talk about labs and you talk about innovation. It's for us they're interconnected, but we have two different ways of looking at it. And looking at our labs and so forth, ourselves as well. We have labs and test facilities in 6 different countries, and that are around the equator where our production sites are. So we want to have those test facilities there so we can test our products for those products that are inherent to certain growing areas, whether it's in Kenya or Colombia or Ecuador or in Japan or what have you, or in Holland. We really want to have something close to the growing areas so we can be really close to market and be able to test those things. So what we look at when we look for new products, all products are tested at these facilities so we can get an idea about the global efficacy and consistency of these products that we're producing. If one may benefit Colombia or not in Ecuador, let's say, then we also have to tweak the formulas to make sure it is, we'll work indigenously to those countries and those growing areas. So that's really, important. The formulas are rigorously tested. They're also submitted for local, global regulatory agencies. We have those all over the world. In all countries, our products are regulated. So once we make a formula that we agree through our labs, then we submit it for regulatory approval. And really, the genesis for our innovation has been long rooted in our corporate headquarters and research station in Holland. And that's really where we create a lot of ideas as well in our labs there. So that's really kind of the lab side of it. And then we would look at the innovation side. There's three ways we look at. So internally, we have a set of technical consultants that are in all growing areas. So we're constantly working with local growers to find new avenues to help them become more efficient, deal with problems that Steve was talking about with ethylene or botrytis or hormonal issues. So we have that input from our global technical consultants. So then, secondly, we have partnerships with global providers of active materials that we work with to find new components that are for the flower industry and can treat flowers, and then we test them. So we have a global partnerships with multiple multinationals who are producing these active ingredients. Mm-hmm. And then thirdly, and probably most importantly for us, is we get feedback from our customers at all levels, from grower to consumer, till we find out really how can we resolve a problem for you? Can we do something to make you more efficient? What we look into each market and find out how can we innovate and make you more labor reduction or longevity or problem with certain flowers. That's where the connection we have with customers. We've got great feedback with all our global customers who we appreciate very much.
So you kind of covered my next question, which was how do you find new innovations or solutions to people's problems? So thank you for that. So Steve, what's your process of listening and coming up with new innovations in your sector?
Yeah, not that unlike Jim's, and for the savings of time, they're very similar. To be honest with you, I'm sure Jim listed them 1, 2, 3, but I'm sure that we both rely heavily on our customer base to basically meet the customer's needs in solving. One, I want to take advantage of the moment because I think something we're both working hard on, and I think the industry needs to work hard on, and is that the sustainability aspect of that question. So again, in the presence of time, I think that's something that we're both of our companies, and I think everybody who's online and needs to think about is sustainability is going to either direct our industry in the future, which it already has started. Believe it or not, sustainability is not always a cost increase. Sometimes it could be a cost savings. At the same time, we need to be a responsible industry. So innovation of things like not only saving, obviously, the obvious, the paper, the chemistry, all that stuff, but Jim mentioned the savings of time. That is one of the places that we look for innovativeness. If we could help save either time, we just came out with an express product which eliminates high quality flower having to be recut. Those kind of things is basically a savings of time and of labor. We find that as a sustainable issue too. So I think we all need to look to our customers, which I know that Chrysal and FloraLife do constantly. How can we help you save either ecologically, sustainable wise, or time or labor? Because the one thing that will push people away will be the cost of something, the end cost of something. So I think that is one of the places we look in the industry.
And sorry, I didn't flip the banner, but how can customers connect with you and communicate those things with you to you?
All right, I'll just step up. Obviously our website seems to be the global way that we're communicating heavily. We are in the field with our customers quite frequently, as you could imagine. Believe it or not, one of the ways that we find real advantageously is we actually take part in the industry because our mothership is Smithers Oasis, and it's one of those companies globally as well who takes part in a certain aspect, a certain channel, the retail florist channel, where flowers are actually used and put to use. We find that place is a great place for us. So Smithers has given us a huge beneficial on-ramp window of opportunity to actually see the flowers being used in design or actually, in many cases, flowers being pushed to the limit because the flowers arrive in the morning, but the wedding's not till 7:40 tonight. I want those lilies to be open. I mean, so you get an idea of where that advantageous relationship with Smithers Oasis has been for us.
Great. So I have a couple comments here again. I want to make sure to highlight them. Sheila Santiago, love the backstory of Chrysal and seen the brand for 25 years and hadn't heard that before. So that's just great information to know as well. Maybe there's more of that story to share. Jay Schwanke, always great to see lifelong flower friend Jim, and good to hear your voice. And always giving my credits. And then we have hello gentlemen, post-harvest physiology, new term, as I explained, extended base life while using flower food. If you want to make any comments to these kind of things, please do. And then Ali said very good initiative as well. So just kind of giving everybody a little a little shout out.
Nice to hear from everybody out there, Sahid. It's very nice.
And then we have a Beth O'Reilly here. Let me see. She has something interesting to say. I didn't check it, but one of the most controversial products amongst florists is the no-cut solution. Can both of you speak on that for the moment? I'm also very curious about the paper that absorbs ethylene gas and that is used during shipping. I saw some of that at JetFresh yesterday. Can you also talk about that and how it reduces ethylene? Who would like to take that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
Well, there was one question. First, we'll just divert to the question that somebody asked about flower food and post-harvest and so forth. They weren't familiar with the term. Just to answer that quickly, and then we can go on to the other one. So when we talk about post-harvest products in general, we're talking about products that are used kind of at the farm, which are dealing with ethylene issues, botrytis issues, hormonal issues, that are really farm products that are used directly after harvesting. That's why we call them post-harvest products. When we talk about food, you could talk about food that is kind of a catch-all for many different foods that both companies produce, some of which is for the handler of flower, some of which are for a retailer of flower, and some of which are for a consumer of flowers. So if you would say those are the differences between both the post-harvest and the flower foods, so to speak.
So many different levels and many different sectors. You're thinking about the whole chain.
Correct.
Jim, well put. I mean, basically, I think the post-harvest is preparing the flower for its transit through the channel, whatever channel you may have selected, whether it be the supermarket, retail, or e-commerce. The second step is the rehydration, basically getting that flower to recuperate after what we all have to admit is a difficult transportation period, which we wish were in the cold chain, but many times it leaves the cold chain, therefore affecting the flower negatively. So that second step is that rehydration and preparing the flower for that continue to move down the channel. And of course, that third step is what we hope the consumer enjoys, and feeding the flower and assuring that base life and hopefully that development. I mean, everybody wants not only the flowers to hydrate, but you want them to do something. Very frequently, you see people when they are very pleased with the flower purchase, they will actually go like this with their hands. They'll make that motion. The flowers look great. That means the flowers did something. They opened, they changed.
Wow, yeah.
People love to wake up in the morning and say, hey, the flowers are opening. You should see them. They open beautifully. So I think that's an important aspect and a real important aspect of something that our products do for that end consumer is that experience that the flowers did do something. Because, I mean, to get a rose in a cut stage 3 and then 7 days later it dies in a cut stage 3, not the experience that we hope our customers. We want that flower to do something. Right. And the flowers you have in the background here, you've all seen the show that they can produce when properly hydrated. That flower type just becomes 10 times the size that you see right there in the picture.
Yeah. And I like what you say, this action, right?
Yeah.
The natural action of blooming. Right. You're so right about that. Jim, question for you. When it comes to logistics, I really want to show how your products can help the issues, that hot button topic right now, which is logistics, right? So what are your thoughts about logistics right now? And what are your thoughts of your products contributing to the solution, if that makes sense from an outside?
Yeah, I think there's two separate issues as we were, discussing a little bit earlier before we went on air. One is really the first issue of logistical issues that are facing the industry today and going forward for the next, couple of years. And then the other one is especially for this, Valentine's Day holiday. I think there's kind of two different points. So if you look at supply chain, I think everybody has been affected by supply chain. Our company has, certainly Steve's company has, I'm sure. And I think that comes in all areas. Availability of all kind of materials, whether it be active materials, packaging materials, anything that we buy collectively has been interrupted. What we did on about a year ago or so, a year and a half ago, we installed a new ERP system for managing our global inventories, which has kind of helped us tremendously in doing so. We knew it was going to be a cost for the company, but we did it because we wanted to have a better handle on inventories globally because we have so many different production sites. So that has helped us quite a bit. Coming into logistical issues for the holiday, if you look at the transportation, we've already been told for Valentine's Day that there's going to be not enough capacity of air. And I think that's going to plague the logistical system for the holiday, which is going to happen. So people need to best prepare as that. You see growers who are now looking at trying or attempting to get more sea containers shipped out, but the clock is ticking, as we discussed earlier. And there's really no time to act because the holiday is coming and flowers need to get transported from Latin America to the U.S. I think in saying that, we've kind of developed, you talked a little bit about products, we kind of developed some proprietary products for growers that helps them reduce shrink, reduce CO2 emissions, and prevent botrytis. And those, again, are in the area of post-harvest. And I think that we're trying to address the issues of growers as they see it. And these products have been in the making for years, knowing that what the supply issues are today, it's kind of fitting in with what we've done. Issues surrounding our products. We're now having treatments at grower level around the globe for certain growers. So with roses in particular, we're using treatments for botrytis. We have a rose dip that we use in Kenya, which is a proprietary solution that most growers, are looking at and using. And then locally here, because of the length of the supply chain, we've had a couple of products that are being used in Latin America. One of which is our product. It's called a fresh liner. It's something that's used in shipping. It reduces the water loss of flowers inside a box. Reduces the botrytis inside the box, and then of course we've used our FloraLife product, which is a product that keeps flowers hydrated during shipping. Because of these elongated periods, this product helps the flowers stay hydrated during shipping. In fact, you were talking about being sustainable. We're just now introducing a new sustainable FloraLife to move away from the synthetic foam product that we're using before, which is a new development for us. So those kind of things we've been looking at because we understand the logistics now. Flowers are being delayed in shipping. So we've kind of looked into the science of it and say, okay, well, how can we add longevity to the flowers, knowing that the lengths are going to be increased either by sea or by air or delays at airports or what have you. But we've tried to address those issues by creating products that are used at grower level to help the end consumer.
So, Steve, what would you give as tips for Valentine's Day, considering the logistics, considering just so many channels where the flowers go through? What would you consider for tips for all sectors? What would be your tips for Valentine's Day?
Yeah, let me put a couple up here. First of all, because of some of the very points that Jim just mentioned, there's going to be a limited amount of space and logistical. The following of the protocols from farm all the way through to the consumer has never played a more important situation. And I'll make 2 points on that. One is the flower is going to probably have a difficult logistical transportation from the farm all the way to the end consumer. Limited space, there are going to be delays, there's going to be a lot of things. All that wears on the flower itself. So some of those points that we want to definitely make sure, and I think somebody actually asked the question about the paper that absorbs. Actually, it's a paper which releases chlorine dioxide. It's a product manufacturer we make that's called transport paper. But using technologies like that, or like Jim mentioned on his product line, I think using them correctly is going to be more important this holiday than ever. Moving from that aspect, which we hope everybody's following protocols, Checking your cooler, making sure your cooler is ready for the holiday. Calibrating your thermometer. Something as simple as calibrating your thermometer and your thermostat could actually mean thousands of dollars to you. Because if your thermostat or your thermometer is not calibrated and you're relying on that thermostat to achieve the temperature which you set it at, and it doesn't do it, all of a sudden your flowers don't last and you're blaming the flowers when in fact it could be your cooler. So something as simpler as that. And then, of course, make sure that your protocols of mixing the flower food correctly are correct. You're dosing correctly, making sure that your trucks are clean. You want to sanitize everything with the flowers that it come in contact with. I would also, and my final point would be on that question is, if you do have a secondary resource for a product or an item or a source of flowers, touch base as early as possible on that secondary resource. I'll tell you why. It's going to be used this holiday. Because of the logistical nightmare that we're all going through, you're probably going to lean on secondary or tertiary people more often than not right now. So that's some of the advice.
Great tips, and thank you for that. So jumping on that, we have Jay Schwanke, a personal friend, cutting flowers versus no cut. I want to hear the answer to Beth O'Reilly's question too. And if I didn't do this, I would hear about it later from Jay. So I want to make sure we cover that. So do you mind taking that, Jim? Tell us about that ethylene paper, I guess. It seems to be a hot topic.
Okay, so yeah, there's two different things. What they're asking about in the ethylene papers, Steve alluded to, explain that product. There's also a product that both companies produce, which is to absorb ethylene inside a box, which is a sachet that goes inside a box.
It doesn't absorb it. It prevents the flower.
Prevents the flower, right? So those kind of things we're dealing with the ethylene that we spoke about, and both companies make those products. The question about cutting or non-cutting is what the question that Jay came back with, which was asked by Beth originally. Both companies, I think, have philosophies on those, and I think both are. There's not a there's an answer in between. I think both our companies have made products that help the flowers thrive if flowers are not cut. And if a consumer or retailer decides not to cut a flower for whatever reason, that's up to them. And we've created a product for them to use if they don't want to cut flowers. Okay. Our contention is each flower is a little bit different. Each flower will react differently if it's cut or not cut. So we made a solution for that. If you can imagine a bouquet of flowers with multiple flowers in them, and you have some sensitive flowers in there, one could, prematurely die and ruin the ornamental value of a flower. So we try to create a product for the market, and if the market decided that they do not want to cut, we have a product for them to use. So ours is called Chrysal Flow Pro, and it's used for the trade who does not want to cut flowers.
And Steve, would you like to say something?
Yeah, definitely. This is actually probably one of the very few points where Jim and I are companies really kind of diverge a little bit in understanding. So ours is called Express Technology. I think everything that Jim said is true. There's the technology, though, is designed, and this is, I think, the most important point. None of our products, neither Jim nor I, will take a bad flower and make it good. You have to start with good flowers, good protocols, good temperature management, good cleanliness, good sanity, and then take advantage of the technology that our companies bring to the table. As far as the Express technology, yes, it does work. I would highly recommend, rather than watch Jim and I talk to each other, I would highly recommend taking a chance at either our company's product, at this Express or the Flow Pro, as Jim mentioned, and actually try it in your system. I wouldn't recommend doing it right before a holiday, though, because you need to learn how to use the product like any technology.
Yes.
And Jim, I'm going to go ahead and step on and say you would agree with this comment. Whatever you use, make sure that cleanliness, temperature control, and that it is mixed properly as instructed. The old adage, I woke up on January 1st and my headache was worse than normal, so I took more aspirin, does not work in the flower business. Our products are designed to work at the right dose. That includes the Flow Pro, the Express technology, all those things. So please try the product, see if it works within your system, and recognize what you need to do.
I would, I would dovetail Steve's comments, which are very on point. And just to say, going back to using product correctly, we did a study, both companies, in our presentation that Steve and I did a while ago. We tried to educate the industry on what really it costs to treat a vase of flowers. And the cost came down to 14 or 15 cents per vase for a bouquet of flowers that a florist would make. This is a bouquet that's selling for 40 or 50 or 60 or $100, who knows what it is. The point is, as Steve made, which is on point, as I said, regardless if you use or don't use a flower food, if you're going to use it correctly. That's the only way you're going to get a maximum benefit from the flower, and the consumer is going to have a repeat purchase. In saying that, the cost is minimal at 15, 14 cents a vase compared to, it's the best insurance policy you can buy by treating flowers correctly. If you want that consumer to come back and buy flowers again, you need to give them value for the money they're spending.
So yesterday I went to a good buddy of mine, Jet Fresh, and I was very impressed on his passion for your products, Jim. He's a big fan. But the question comes to, how can all channels in the industry collaborate with you more often to spread that message out? Because florists getting that to consumers, wholesalers getting that message to the retailers, and farms getting that message to wholesalers and florists, and on and on. How important is that to both of you, Jim and then Steve?
Well, I think in the case of Jet Fresh, Mike Black is a really special person. He's got such a passion for the flower industry. He runs a good company. He takes care of his customers, and we've had a long-term relationship with them. And then when we created this product that he wanted to use at the farm, which was the ArrivalLife product to keep flowers hydrated during the shipping period, we did it as a test. And I said, just prove it to yourself and take 2 months. We'll give you some product to use for 2 months, and let's see how it works. Mike does not invest in something that he doesn't thoroughly believe in, because every bunch of flowers that he's selling now to a wholesaler, a florist, supermarket, what have you, is costing him X cents more per bunch. But he's doing it because the test proved so positive that his customers now became to demand it. And those kind of partnerships have flourished now to educating the retailer or wholesaler on a product that really ensures hydration during the shipment.
But again, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so others like that. I mean, I think both companies collaborate with other companies as well. I'm just using Jet Fresh as an example, as you did. But both of our companies work very closely with growers or wholesalers or supermarkets or retailers, what have you, that our goals are to help them increase the base level for the consumer, because I think it's incumbent on both all of us to educate the consumer via collaborations with respective customers, to educate the consumer on how to treat flowers and make them last longer, which is going to ensure all of our businesses flourishing in the future.
Steve, so how can all other wholesalers help that communication, help that education? How do they participate?
It's interesting. In the past, we all used to do wholesale shows, and that was kind of the launching point to a lot of products, and conversations like this would actually happen around a snack table, if you would. And Jim and I, when we were younger and were able to walk, would actually go to these shows and do. I call them dog and pony, as you know. But I'm going to be honest, because of the pandemic, it's literally been restrictive. I think the industry has the opportunity you're offering us, I think, is great. Thank you. I think both of our companies are on the web doing what we can. I would recommend, though, that you reach out to your supplier, reach out to your competitor that you have to see because you bump into them at the wholesale house. If you're a supermarket, reach out to your bouquet company. If you're a bouquet company, reach out to your grower and reach the other way, too. But the other idea that I threw out a minute ago is try the products. I reach out to both of us and any of our competitors as well. Get a sample, try it, see if it works with your system. For me to sit here and I'm not going to put words in Jim's mouth this time. For me to sit here and assume that the way Jet Fresh, who's very close to Chrysal, is going to be able to use my product the same exact way, I can't assume that. You're going to need to actually recognize how the product works within your system. Many times, and if we're doing our job, our products will hopefully save you some time, money, both, and maybe become more ecological, which is, I think, a point we've all tried to make today.
Yep.
And that's our job, becoming innovative, becoming, and if we could pull cost, add ecology or sustainability to the situation, and once again, have that end consumer have that experience, which will make him buy flowers more than twice a year for a holiday. Great. And I think we're all enjoying that right now.
That's great. Let me take a couple more comments here. Adam Mace I'll give you a shout out, Blue Monday. Love seeing the collaboration on solving real challenges with the goal of making the end consumer experience even better. And then Mimi as well says, this is what makes our industry beautiful and respectful. We care about the floral experience. We all win. And I take that as another way of her saying that collaboration matters. So tell us about and gentlemen, thank you for the honor of being here together as competitors, but as collaborators and as advocates for the flower industry. Tell us about past experiences you might have worked on together and how important it is to show others to do the same and to have open dialogue and open conversation. And something you had said earlier, Steve, is that you guys kind of made each other better, Yeah. 1 and 2 or 2 or 1, whatever it is, 1 and 1. But you also challenge each other to continue to keep the bar up. How can other wholesalers and distributors do that? And Steve, if you want to take that.
All right, I'll start. First of all, I'll let everybody know Jim and I are actually looking to be roommates at an old folks home right after the show. That's where we're headed. But having said that, because I've been waiting all day to say that, having said that, yeah, we have pushed each other. There we are. This is actually, Jim, you want to explain this picture?
Yeah, I will, Steve. Yeah. Steve and I have done this a couple of times, and I didn't know it was more of a comedy show or a presentation on care and handling and how we can help you give longevity to your flowers. But it actually, it ranked very high. This one was at SAF. I think we've done it at Wolfson and a couple of other places, but it really got tremendous audience and tremendous appeal because here we are, two competitors that, fight each other day to day. But the reality is we're fighting for the industry, because if the industry wins by selling more flowers, of course, we're going to benefit as well. But in any avenue, any format that we can use that's afforded to us to get on stage or to have these kind of forums are certainly welcomed by me, and I'm sure by Steve also, to really kind of educate as much as we can the floral community, whether it be retailer, wholesaler, importer, what have you, grower, to our knowledge. And we have tons of knowledge, both companies do. And of course, we try our outlets to get the knowledge out through our respective websites, social media, et cetera. But that's certainly one way. The other way is the forums like these, which are very impactful to, I think, the industry alike. And I think Steve and I have a wonderful relationship and have for 25 years or so, I think, working in this industry and having mutual respect for each other, mutual respect for each other's company and what we bring to the flower industry. And like I said, we can certainly rise the tide with boats floating if we do the right thing for the industry.
And then Steve, back to you. Sorry that I showed the picture.
Yeah. No. I think Jim said it very well. The only thing I'd like to just put in there is the fact it is important for the industry to recognize, people who are watching, that we have pushed each other. And many times, I'm sure, I hope this happens to Jim too, not just me. People walk in and go, "Oh, I see Chrysal's doing a great job. You're not doing it." And by the way, I could almost see them. It's kind of like when you came home and you got that B+, or in my case, C-, and your parents tell you, "Hey, do you know what you got wrong? Can you push it? Can you get better?"
Steve, so that doesn't happen. That hasn't heard that too much. So,
well, really, see, there you go, Jim. Well, that's because you're CEO. But long story made short, yes, I think that competitive nature of the industry and the fact that we're both global companies, we're both looking forward, and the fact that at this moment, the industry is expanding into new channels, the e-commerce, all that stuff is taking advantage of it to where basically if we could get people to use the product versus not use it. So the non-user is really our number one competitor to this point.
Correct.
There will be a day where the non-user will not be an issue. Hopefully Jim and I will actually be at an old folks home. But to be honest with you, at this point, the non-user is really our number one competitor. Jim, I assume you feel the same way.
Correct. I do. And I think that that's got to be there's a non-user, which is surprisingly a pretty high percentage. And as I alluded to earlier about what it costs to treat, a vase of flowers, it's really immaterial to the revenue that's being generated from that vase.
And also the experience that the end consumer is going to have with that vase. And I think that, as you said earlier, Jim and Steve, it starts with the grower all the way down. So as long as everybody is vested into it, I think that the end consumer will have a much better experience.
For sure.
I don't want to correct you, but it starts with the breeder at this point.
The breeder, yes, sir.
Yeah. The only reason I want to mention that is because I think that's how long the chain has become. I think when Jim and I started, we were selling here, but now we literally have to sell all the way back. And because there are breeders that are breeding some varieties just for Latin America, and some are, like Jim mentioned earlier, you're breeding it for Colombia versus Ecuador. You end up with, so it is scientifically amazing, as you alluded to earlier.
So we have a last comment here, Ixo Valdez. Helping all segments within the industry use floral care products correctly is a win-win for Chrysal and FloraLife. Thank you, gentlemen. So that's a great ending to the topic of the conversation. The last thing I just want to give you both an opportunity. Is there any new innovations or any projects or anything that we should keep an eye on in the upcoming months? Jim?
Well, like I said, our business has really looked inside sustainability, as Steve talked about earlier. We do have a couple of products that we have been launching of recent. This is a new paper sachet for sustainability to move away from the plastic, single ply plastic, to go completely to a compostable paper sachet. And then the other one was the Arrival Live product, which is now going to be compostable also.
Okay.
So that is really something that people have asked us for, and now we've created it, and it's coming in the next few weeks to arrive. So now we have an answer for someone who wants to use a compostable product as Arrival Life.
Great. And I see Steve maybe going out to get something. I kind of surprise people with questions because I just think of them on the live.
I just want to show you. I just want to show you how small the world is, and it's going to hopefully make everybody laugh. Here is our compostable paper sachet. So what I ran
one smaller than the others.
And the only thing is, as far as from our point of view, yes, we are working on the same thing because it just shows you the importance of sustainability that we're being put. And our mothership Oasis is working on sustainable floral foam. I mean, you can imagine. So it's important that hopefully the marketplace and people who are listening will look to it, and at the same time, make a better world, and hopefully the floral industry will be better.
Yeah. You wanted to say something, Jim?
Yeah, I don't know if we were closing or not, Steve, but
no worries.
The last thing one of the last things I wanted to say was preparing for Valentine's Day. Here we are, the half of January, getting preparation, which is our busiest month. The last thing I expected to do today was to have a discussion with Steve on air, live to the entire flower industry. But I want to say, Sahid, thank you very much for organizing this. It was well done. It's a pleasure for me to do it and be with Steve anytime discussing the industry that we love and what we want for the consumers and the trade of our industry.
Thank you. And thank you, gentlemen, for showing the power of collaboration and coming together and just the camaraderie of what the flower industry is. And the community that we are. So thank you so much, gentlemen. If anybody wanted to reach out to you to ask you any questions, they go to just the websites. What will the websites be?
Ours is Chrysal.com.
Perfect. And Steve?
And we're at FloraLife.com, or Smithers Oasis has a website, but FloraLife.com.
Fantastic. So, gentlemen, thank you again. It was an honor to have you both here. Thank you for your time. Truly means the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to everybody.
Take care. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck, everybody, for the holiday.
Yeah, good luck.
Take care. So that was great and an honor to speak to such great guys that have such great experience and information, and to honestly see the camaraderie of them coming together and kind of razzing each other a little bit, but really almost like a brotherhood. And it's really important to see that, because I really don't believe in competitors. I believe that we should embrace our competition. We should learn from our competition, and we should collaborate with our competition, because the end user, the end customer, is the one that is going to benefit. So again, while you're still on here, please like, comment, or share. Super important to also subscribe. It means a lot to us to subscribe. It just kind of keeps us in the algorithm. And let's see, we have a couple more comments here. Samuel Motami says, thanks for the great insight. Oh, Jeff Landman, thank you. Says thank you, Sahid, Steve, Jem, and Steve. And Adam Mays, thank you all. Greatly appreciate it. Go check out Blue Monday as well. We're great supporters of startups, and Blue Monday is a new little startup that's popping up. So go check them out. Adam, shout out to you and best of luck to you and your business. Again, we are doing some special things next month. Please keep an eye out for next month. We will be interviewing a couple great people that are doing some great collaborations within the industry, and we're super excited to be doing that and bringing it out. And we're also talking to two great innovators in the industry when it comes to e-commerce. Flower Moxie is one, the Flower Click is another one, and I think even florists and wholesalers, distributors could all learn from all sectors of the industry if we continue to communicate together and connect and understand each other. So thank you again. Oh, one more last comment. I hate to miss this. And Dennis Wheeler says, great job. And now they're all coming in. And Cecil says, thank you, Sahid. So just want to give everybody an opportunity that does a shout out there. So again, thank you everybody for coming in. Keep an eye out on our LinkedIn. Keep an eye on our newsletters. If you want to subscribe to our newsletters, you can go to newbloomsolutions.com and subscribe to our newsletters there. Thank you again. Have a great day.